Hi everyone, it's Leslie Robinson, creator of the 5-Minute Facilitator, and we are now going to explore group dynamics. Oh my gosh, this one was so big for me when I realized that there was a process. Have you ever been in a class that was just disorganized, that it had a life of its own and it didn't matter what you did? Well, I did, and it was really flat, and then it got bumpy, and then people were arguing, and then all of a sudden it got energized and I didn't know what was going on. But when I found out about group dynamics, like, oh. And so then it put a degree of control so that I could come and be the sage or the guide on the side and help the class move through these uncomfortable parts, because it's part of nature. It's a natural order of things. So here's this natural order of interactivity whenever one or two people get together. Sometimes we can do it by ourselves, I guess, but when two or more people come together, there are group dynamics. And so understanding them and being able to take action allows for a normalizing, an ability to shift the dynamics in 5 steps. And I'm guessing you've probably heard of them. By the end of this session, you'll be able to describe behaviors in each of the 5 steps. Ever heard of Bruce Tuckman and his model of group dynamics? If you think you haven't, now have you? Forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Yeah. So I invite you to remember a group setting that moved through a complete process, from where you didn't know anybody and then all the way through to ta-da, now we're leaving, and maybe you even felt sad, or at least it felt complete or something. In the 5 behaviors, the first is forming. This is when we arrive. We're often in our best behavior. We're self-credentialing. It's like, oh yeah, well, I know this person, I know that, or, I've got this degree, or, we're often doing that, or this is my position in this organization, or, I've written 6 books, or whatever it is. Others, like me, I can get in and I can go and do that, but my natural place is to just sit quietly in the corner and just watch. It's what I've always done as a child. And so there's a freshness with the group as the group is all arriving. There's an eagerness. There is also resistance. People are like closed off. Maybe they don't really want to be there. The second group of behaviors are storming. So this is when natural leaders appear, as do the resistors. All right, so people are polarizing a bit. They're kind of strutting their stuff a bit. This is maybe when there are disagreements. There could be challenges to the facilitator. I had a highly resistant class one time, and I literally felt pinned against the wall. Norming is better than storming. Storming, sometimes we really, really need to get there. I had one group who stormed for 90% of the time. And then they normed really fast and moved into the next one. So when they normed, they accepted the roles, or they took charge and they just said, this is how it is. We're going to do this now. There's a decision. We're going to commit to this. Finding a common ground. So with this one highly resistant group, they just kept arguing all the time, for 90% of the time. And then right towards the very end, they basically took the felt pen out of my hand, they got the flip chart, and they started to write it all up. But what I had been doing up until then was saying, so long as we have a strategic plan by this time, so long as we have a strategic plan. We were now on the final day, and it's like, so long as we have a strategic plan by today at noon, then we're fine. So they found the common ground. They had to come up with a strategic plan. And then they started working to their strengths, and they were finished fast. So in this case, they were performing really well. It's a sweet spot. It's a slipstream. This is the part that we want all the time. I think this is why we all go into teaching and learning. It's a place of respect and creativity. It's goal-oriented. People are productive. Facilitator's job. Sit back and drink the coffee. Because everything else is happening. Deep, sustainable, empowered learning is happening. And then it's time to go. A journey. We're getting closer to the completion. Be reflecting, well, gee, wow, I really did learn quite a bit. Some last questions, acknowledgements maybe. Saying thank you to each other. It's going over a parking lot, if we've had a parking lot, which is a tool that we use when people are asking questions, but there's no time to discuss it. So we write it up on what we call a parking lot. We park it there. And so then this is a good time to bring it up, is right here in group dynamics at the end. So acknowledgements, saying our thank yous, giving thoughtful feedback, creating enough time for people to give careful, thoughtful feedback, and saying thanks. So now's your opportunity to describe a behavior for each group dynamic, informing, storming, norming, performing a journey. There we go. And that concludes the presentation part of group dynamics. Your turn, going into small groups. You could discuss now some techniques to help a group move out of storming. What could you do? And feedback. Specifically, what am I doing well that is helping you learn? WWW, what is working well? And EBI, even better if. What could I do specifically to make it even better, easier for you to learn? Because I want you to have that maximal learning experience. All right, concluding this section. We've done our climate setting, agreements, learning styles, group dynamics, and now we come to feedback. We have monthly offerings of the 5-Minute Facilitator, both designing workshops and facilitating engagement. We also have vibrational facilitation. We also have mini master's degree in adult education. And there is always personal coaching support for your project. Thanks. See you soon.